Hello, everyone, and welcome to the No Cap Zone. Of course, we are not on the second Wednesday, but we are excited to be back. I'm excited to hear about what the students have to say. Of course, I am the moderator this evening, Jason B. Allen, better known as Professor JBA. As we always say, we need for you to do us a favor. Go ahead and make sure you share, like, and comment during this live session and conversation. We are excited about the conversation again tonight. It's a lot. It's a lot that's happening. Excuse me, and we want to make sure that we address that. So, before we get started, I do have some announcements. Now, if you are not connected to our work, make sure you go to educationalentities.com. We have a new podcast that is getting ready to come out. We are in season 2 of the No Cap Zone with our students. And of course, Speak Black Man comes on the first Wednesday of every month. Now, the person that works behind the scenes will actually be in the hot seat on the next episode of Speak Black Man. So that's enough for the announcements. Again, thank you for tuning in to the No Cap Zone. I am going to turn it over to our co-host, Brother Javon.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jovan Manny. I am the co-host of the Students for Equity No Cap Zone, and I'm currently a freshman in high school. The No Cap Zone is a space for youth and students to elevate their voices on equity issues in our schools and community. Most importantly, it is an important space for us to be honest about how we feel about the things in society. Before we get to episode 2, we're going to go over to the NCZ News with Anaya.
Hello, everybody. My name is Anaya, and this is the NCZ News. If you've been watching the news, you will notice that Kanye West is going under a lot of fire. Maybe it's because of his comments. Maybe it's because of the t-shirts he's wearing. I don't know. But what I do know is that Election Day is November 8th. So go vote, especially if you're a young adult. Wear your crowns, and I'm passing it back to Jovan.
Students for Equity is back with season 2 of the No Cap Zone. Episode 2, Why Vote? We'll get into our thoughts and ideas around voting, political parties, how monopolies spent money on electronics could be used, and why we think people aren't or don't vote. So today we have Anaya with us. Everyone else couldn't make it. And that's all for right now.
Sorry, y'all. So, anyways, we
All right, so I'm gonna fill in for Anaya. She is having some technical difficulties at the moment. Um, Tonight's episode is why vote. A big thing is happening in our society right now across the nation around voter engagement. But before we even go there, we're going to fill in and give Anaya some time to get hop back on. But Siobhan, we starting off with the major conversation around, of course, Black Panther, which is getting ready to come out. And so we want to get your thoughts on this. Everybody, what are your thoughts on Black Panther? The movie is getting ready to come out. It's going to be released in November. There has been some controversy around it. So before we go to the students, let's drop some comments in the comment section, and then we're going to hear from them on what they think about Black Panther that's getting ready to be released in November. So Anaya, we'll turn it over to you.
so I think that the new Black Panther will be pretty good. Some people are discussing whether or not the new Black Panther will be a woman or whether or not she will be Shuri or some woman that we do not know. So what I'm saying is, don't worry about it because if you read the comic books, you will see exactly who is the next Black Panther, and that's all I have to say about it, honestly.
So my take on Black Panther being released, I'm more likely gonna wear my casual wear. If I do anything extra, then that's cool. But honestly, I don't really overdress to certain like movies or certain places if I'm not really in the mood or energy to.
I will be wearing casual wear also if I go see it.
Okay, that sounds good. So listen, I got a question. What about all white? And it's supposed to be like a family reunion. You know, last year or the last time, excuse me, the Black Panther came out originally, the first one. It was a major thing. People were dressed up like they were going to and coming from Wakanda. So this year, I think they're saying that everyone is supposed to be wearing all white. I think the barriers have been broken down around not wearing white after Labor Day. But are y'all wearing white? Do y'all have y'all seen people posting about what they're wearing? What are your thoughts around that?
I haven't seen many posts about what people are going to wear to the premieres, but I think if you wear
So
all white, then it'd be
um,
good.
I don't think that most people are overlooking over Kanye because one, um, they don't realize what he's actually doing, and due to particular times where one he's broken up with Kim Kardashian, um, I knew that took like a small toll because if he can't see his children, then his mother died. Um, but due to what Kanye's saying, I understand that he has his own view and opinion, and he tries to tell the truth in his own form than for what everyone else would accept. Because one, people are now trying to cancel him due to um, what he said recently in his interviews with other types of stations and podcasts. So honestly, people will overlook people and try and cancel them like in a negative way, but honestly, they don't really understand what he's actually trying to warn people about.
All
Well,
right. Well, Javon threw us right into the conversation with Kanye. So I mean, we went from wearing all white right into what he is doing. So Anaya, we're gonna toss the mic to you and let the people know what you feel about it.
well, um, I know that if you know about Kanye's backstory, then there was a lot of issues in the house, and so him walking around, I feel like people should probably leave him alone, honestly, just because you can tell he's struggling and going through things and trying to find out what to do. And I would say that he actually really needs some type of support or help instead of bashing over what he's saying, because if you know he's probably struggling with some mental health issue, you can just tell because he's walking around and he's doing him. He's not worrying about anybody else. He's just doing what he thinks is right for him. He's acting on impulse.
That's a major point to make though, acting on impulse. And I mean, I just would love to hear you guys' thoughts. I'm just thinking about a lot of school fights, a lot of disagreements in public, on TV, just things that are pushed in our society. Um, is it okay for people to just act on impulse? And if so, how can that impact other people?
Acting on impulse is very dangerous because some people will actually kill themselves off of impulse and not think about everybody around them. It's more of like a narcissistic thing to act on impulse because you're only worrying about what you're doing, but at the same time, you're not worrying about what you're doing. You're just going for it based off of emotion and really you should just stop and think about maybe it's going to end bad. Maybe the consequences aren't going to be well. Like I could spend like you could probably think about I might spend my whole life in prison if I do this, or everybody else around me could be sad all the time because I do this. So acting on impulse is a very dangerous thing to do.
Wow. Okay, Anaya, she drops some knowledge on it. I like that. Javon, what do you think? We were picking up in the conversation around Kanye West and Anaya's statement around the dangers of people acting on impulse. And so just wanted to get your thoughts on um, how can it impact other people if we just willingly act on impulse and it may not be in a safe or sound mental state that we're making these type of decisions. I don't know if Javon heard me.
Maybe.
Oh, he's typing something. Oh,
Oh,
yes, Javon. Yes, we're waiting on you to speak. So Anaya's point again about acting
Okay,
on
so
impulse. Okay, yeah, we're ready.
no,
Go
you
ahead.
shouldn't be acting on impulse because one, it can lead to dangerous situations, which I've known that, and I've experienced that because certain events at school. So either most of the times you acting on impulse is gonna lead you down like a bad path if you know what you're doing. But overall, you should actually think about what you do beforehand.
yeah. You should really start thinking about that because you might be put into an insane asylum if you do not, and your whole life can
Mm,
go downhill if you do not think about your actions. Like, if you
wow.
remember, it's kind of like it takes years to build a relationship, but it takes seconds to ruin it. So just remember, it takes years to be where you're at, but it could take seconds to ruin your whole life.
Okay, I like that. Listen, let me ask this, and just want to highlight again some of the things that you guys have been saying. Um, does Kanye's music and his artistry excuse his actions? How do you guys feel about that? I know that's also been a major debate around Kanye West. Is his music and his artistry an excuse for his actions? And also, for those who are viewing live and those who may be in the comments, we want to know who is the king of rap between Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, and Kanye West. So, for those who are watching live, drop those comments in the chat. And Anaya and Javon, what are your thoughts around Kanye's music and artistry being used possibly as an excuse for his actions?
That's a bad thing to do, honestly, because at the end of the day, music is entertainment, and you can get rid of that really quick or even replace that. So any wrong move, you can end up being replaced by a whole another artist. And I don't even listen to Kanye, honestly. So
Um,
So um, he knows what Kanye knows what he's actually doing with his career because, as I said previously, he is very intelligent on what he's able to speak about. But people think that he is legit crazy when he has certain personal issues. Um, but it doesn't excuse what he's been saying because people will not care about the music. They're going to care about what you're saying in that particular moment to understand what what they're actually trying to grasp in their own process because everyone's not going to get through it properly than what he thought. Um, but him being or acting on mental illness, I'm not sure if he has any mental illnesses to my knowledge currently, but it can play a major role inside what he's been doing recently.
okay,
I like,
so I would ask, to Anaya and those who are watching live. And again, put your comments is on the feed so we can, have your engagement. Is acting on his mental illness, if he is acting on his mental illness, what can be done? What are your thoughts on what can be done to actually help him if he's acting on his mental illness? So, Anaya, share your thoughts on both of those aspects.
If he is acting on impulse or mental illness that we have no idea if he has one or not, then he really needs to get help because he needs to start remembering that he is not a white man in America, and you won't get excused for what your mind does. He can literally get killed or or in prison. He needs to remember where technically his he's supposed to be, because it seems like the fame is getting to his mind a little bit. And at the same time, I was thinking that maybe he's putting he's what's it called? He's putting his actions out there more than usual probably right now for attention. And that is a very dangerous thing to do because it can lead people to think that you're crazy if you're like dramatizing your craziness and putting it out there for people to see on purpose. So he should really just probably go to therapy or isolate himself for a little bit with his kids if his ex-wife lets him, and that's probably it.
Okay, those are interesting perspectives. I say to each his own.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an advocate for free speech, so but I'm also an advocate for people being respectful. I just some of the things you don't have to always agree with everything that everybody does, and that's the power of free will. So I think you guys
Mm-hmm.
had some awesome questions. So listen, we are 10 minutes away from the end of the show, but of course, this last question is around voting. And of course, we know that is a major thing. And so, Anaya, you did the news. Awesome job on the news segment today. I'm going to kick it over to you to give us your thoughts around Election Day, some of the things that people should be looking into in regards to this voting season, and also your thoughts around why people aren't voting.
Um, people, first of all, people probably aren't voting because they're too distracted with what is going on in the entertainment area. And then another reason is that maybe people in their family or government or people older than them are kind of telling them, oh, it's not a good idea to vote, or your opinion doesn't matter to those in the youth technically need to vote more because you will have a change. You have a change. There's a lot of us now. There's not that many older people than there were a long time ago, but right now there are a lot of youth. And if you vote, then it's going to make a drastic change in our system. You should really look into the background of who you're voting for before you do it, because a lot of times people tell you that they're going to do something and they don't do it. So do your research on the person or whoever or whatever you're voting for, just to be sure that's actually what side you're on.
Okay, I like that. Great views. Javon, we are talking about voting in the last part of this segment for the podcast, and just wanted to get your thoughts around why people aren't voting, but also how we can engage people in the voting process, and what's happening right now in the climate around politics, especially in Georgia. So we'll kick it over to you for your thoughts.
Um, so things that I know that I see my peers talking about when it comes to politics, um, mainly they're like, "Ooh, let's vote for this." Like teachers, they're trying to give teachers opinions on which one they should vote on. Um, Overall, my opinions for Herschel Walker, I don't have any particular feeling because I see what they've been posting on on media, but I'm not sure the real background. Um, but I don't think that people really should because that's the speculation, but also that people have their own right to vote for who they really feel true to, whether they feel true to, that they feel can. I don't know how to phrase it right now, but people have their own rights to choose who they want to vote and who represents them, but also that everyone should have their own political party, whether if they choose one or not.
Okay, that's interesting. So let me ask this as a question that came from YouTube. That's saying, do all black people vote Democrat? And so, um, Javon mentioned Herschel Walker. That was a good part. Awesome segment on that. But want to get you guys' thoughts on do all black people vote Democrat? And if they don't, there was another piece that Javon mentioned around parties. And so I would love to hear a little more about that as well.
Well, I personally see a lot of black people vote Democrat, but there's also a lot of us that aren't documented. So I want to go into the party thing. My mom, in our house, we always say that it's just the left and right wing on the same bird. So in reality, technically a one state or one country type of government, and it like gives people the
Um,
illusion that they're voting two different sides when
Personally,
they're
I
voting
don't
the same way.
feel anything about the two-party system because everyone's gonna have their own opinion. As I said previously, political parties are Democratic and Republican. I personally do not care for both because I don't really agree with what they both said for everyone else. So if there were like another form, then there may be a chance for more people to choose that. But overall, I don't really think that it's gonna do anything besides the same old things that it's been doing for a long time.
Since we're already used to being ruled by technically one house, then I would just say go back. Like if you're gonna do that, just go back all the way to being ruled by one person, or just we could. There's enough of us to revolt against the government and take it into our own hands. Because clearly, a lot of the things that are going on right now, I've noticed that aren't really in favor of the people, and we live here, so I think it's a good idea to just start taking control, and that's what I would have to say on it. I'm not really learning anything in government right now. Um, I am taking a history course in college. It's for uh, we've been learning about mostly just tribes. We haven't really been learning about the government structure, so I can't really speak on what I've been learning about the government.
Okay, that was awesome. I was going to ask what you guys think that schools can do um, to teach younger people more around the process of voting. Um, what do you guys think can be done?
Mm, I think that maybe the schools can just have a whole session or a period on how to fill out ballots, how to see if the person or the party you're on is valid.
Um,
Yeah.
so some of the things that I've been learning in school about government is that there are multiple forms that, and this is something we've been going over recently, which we went over um, theoc- theocracy, dictatorship. I forgot the one that begins with O. It's gonna come at some point. a monarchy, democracy, and a whole other or a lot more. Um, like recently, we've had to debate on which one would be better. Um, so we all had our own different standpoints. So personally, government is just a way for everything to make sure it doesn't spiral down to chaos. Because one thing that I had to write was without like a firm grounding, there would be more bloodshed than everyone else would anticipate for that particular country.
Okay, wow. Listen, you took us into civics. I'm glad that y'all are learning that. That's awesome. Both of you guys' perspectives around what you're learning, what you're doing, how you guys are civically connecting, I think are great. I know that Students for Equity is planning a youth summit. So one of the things that I would love for you guys to talk about is, will you all consider having a debate for youth leaders on various topics for your youth summit?
I think that would be a good idea. Like, it's kind of like the movie Great Debaters, where you can have like mock debates, and you can feel safe in the comfort of being around students your age, and you can just practice your debating skills on each other. And I think that's a good idea to have debates on various topics. I mean, we do it in my house with each other, so that's a
I
good
love
idea.
that. Javon, what do you think? I don't know if he can hear me. While we're waiting on Javon, Anaya, I wanted to also ask. I was a debate coach in the middle school, so before we get ready to close out, and you give your final thoughts, do you think that debate should be a course that is offered in all schools?
Yes, I think debate should be offered in all
Um,
schools. Wait, Javon.
Debate should be, of course, because one, it can increase your critical thinking. Because I know at my school, when we're talking about certain subjects, they like to see if we are able to debate on whether if there's ways we can change it, ways that it can be bettered, or should it be theirs any longer. Um, and this is like one of the best ways to have your students engage with um, them debating. I personally enjoy debating a lot, even like in regular conversations, because it can open up a lot more ground to that particular conversation than to just be narrow and just guide through it way too quick, and then you don't understand what to say next.
Oh,
Yeah,
I think that's awesome. Go ahead, Anaya, and then I'll let you close us out.
I think that debating should be a course in all schools, mainly just because we debate on everything all the time. If you think about it, we give our opinions and other people give their opinions, and sometimes we don't agree. So debating is probably one of the most important parts of life, just because we do it on a daily basis all the time without even realizing it. And my final thoughts on the Crown Act, specifically on the Crown Act, um, I would say, don't let people tell you how to wear your hair. Don't let people tell you it's wrong. You figure it out yourself. It's wrong or right. If you like a hairstyle, wear it. You wear it loud, wear it happy. Happy. Um, I would say vote. Just go vote. Especially if you're a youth, young adult, go vote. It's very important. We need to really start speaking our voices and putting out our thoughts. Um, and I'm going to give it up to Jovan.
Our podcast, No Cap Zone, is powered by educational entities. Visit educationalentities.com to connect with us as we are looking to elevate more youth voices on our podcast and the No Cap Analysis blog. You can also email us at students for, not FOR, the number 4, equityinschools at gmail.com. We'll see you in November for our third episode.
Bye.